At 38 below zero, the number 2 diesel most of America runs can start turning to wax at 14 degrees above, which means the fuel in the wrong tank tonight died 52 degrees ago. So on the Dalton Highway in northern Alaska, the 600 horsepower under this hood is not supposed to shut down. Not at the fuel island, not in the pullout, not once before Deadhorse. This is a truck driver's night in Alaska at 38 below, and the cold out there is not hunting the man behind the wheel. It is hunting what sits in his twin tanks and the lines that feed his engine. And if it wins, he finds out in the worst place this road has, on the only climb over the Brooks Range, in the dark, alone. 5 in the afternoon at Coldfoot, and the sun has been gone for 2 hours. The pre-trip happens by flashlight, walking the rig, checking the glad hands and the rubber lines between tractor and trailer. At 38 below, those lines stiffen into something closer to plastic pipe and plastic cracks from a flex that would leave no mark in July. Tires that sat through one warm meal freeze flat on the bottom, and for the first miles, the trailer rides like it is rolling on squares. Steel pulls heat through a glove so fast that bare-handed work comes in 1-minute bursts. Whatever this flashlight misses right now gets found later, out on the ice, 100 miles from the nearest human being. Remember that. And through all of it, the engine idles, burning close to a gallon an hour while going nowhere, which looks like waste until you know what a shutdown does up here. Start with the oil. 15W40 at 38 below pours like roofing tar, which is why Arctic haulers run synthetic 5W40 and still hold their breath on a cold crank. Then the batteries. At 30 below, a battery bank gives up more than half its cranking power, right when a cold, soaked engine demands twice as much of it. But the fuel is the executioner. Straight number 2 starts clouding around 14 above zero as paraffin falls out of solution, and those wax crystals mat across the fuel filter like wet snow on a screen door. Up here, the pumps sell Arctic Blend, cut heavy with number 1, and old hands still dose anti-gel at every fill and keep a spare filter behind the seat where the cab heat keeps it warm. A blend is a promise, not a guarantee. And the number that settles the idle question is 240. That is how many miles sit between Coldfoot and Deadhorse with no fuel, no shop, no shore power for a block heater, nothing. The longest stretch of nothing on any public road in North America. The Dalton runs 414 miles, and a truck that freezes down out there is not a service call. It is a recovery job out of Fairbanks, the better part of a day away, with a load the oil field is waiting on. 8 gallons of idle fuel a night is the cheapest insurance this industry ever bought. The truck pulls out around 7, headlights carving 2 ruts of packed snow out of a black wall of spruce, and the first threat of the night walks onto the road on 4 legs. In deep snow winters, moose take the plowed lane because it beats wallowing chest deep, and they yield to nothing. This one clears the shoulder and the driver never touched the brakes, which raises the question nobody outside a cab thinks to ask. What actually happens when 80,000 pounds needs to stop on packed snow? The answer rides on air. The compressor charges the system to around 125 pounds per square inch, and the service line runs the length of the rig through those same rubber hoses and glad hands. The logic runs on failure. Lose the air and the spring brakes slam on by themselves. And every driver who ever had a glad hand pop loose at a dock has felt that lesson through the frame. The system is honest. But at 38 below, it has one soft spot, and it is not the steel. The compressor breathes outside air, and all air carries moisture. The dryer strips most of it, and the rest freezes as frost inside valves and passages built for cold, just not for this. Seals that held tight at 20 above start seeping, and the compressor starts cycling to feed leaks no light on the dash will ever name. So an experienced driver counts those cycles without deciding to, half awake, because when the gaps between them get shorter, the system is losing, and that count beats every warning lamp on the panel. If you respect the men who keep freight moving through country that is actively trying to stop them, subscribe, because that is the only kind of story this channel tells. Here is a number that surprises lower 48 drivers. Alaska runs on its own hours of service, Under a federal exemption, a driver up here can log 15 hours of driving inside a 20-hour duty window, 4 more than the lower 48 allows, because distances like this never fit inside an 11-hour day. It sounds like freedom. On this road, it is arithmetic, because 240 miles of ice at 35 on the good stretches is most of a shift, and every lost minute comes out of the far end. 1 in the morning, 6 hours out of Coldfoot, 70 miles behind him, because on polished ice the road sets the pace, and tonight the pace is low. The thermometer has lost 4 more degrees since the fuel island. This is the hour the body starts paying, reaction slowed, attention drifting, and there is no second seat in this cab to catch it. Ahead in the dark stands the only place any road crosses the Brooks Range. Atagun Pass, 4,739 feet, grades pushing toward 9%, avalanche chutes numbered on the state's own maps. And right there, on the flat approach, the engine stumbles. Once. A half-second of hesitation under load that a first-year driver would blame on imagination. The fuel pressure gauge does not have an imagination. Somewhere in the last 70 miles, the temperature slid past what the blend was cut for, and wax is matting across the filter, starving the engine a little more every mile. Nothing banged. A healthy sound simply went wrong. And the driver does the thing that separates 30-year men from statistics. He stops before the climb, on flat ground, while the engine still pulls and the air is still up, on his terms and not the cold's. Because this is what the cold was hunting since 5 in the afternoon. Not the man, not even the steel. The margin. The quiet certainty that lets a driver point a loaded truck at a mountain and say this rig stops where I decide. Take that stumble onto a 9% grade and it is no longer a maintenance item. Lose power halfway up and you are holding 80,000 pounds on glare ice with brakes alone, then backing it down blind. Lose it on the far side with frost in the valves and you learn why the state stations a road crew at the foot of this pass all winter long. The margin is the whole game. The fix is not heroic, it is procedural, and it costs the one rule of the night. The engine comes down for the first time since Fairbanks because no diesel runs through a fuel filter swap, and from that second the cold soak clock is live. He pulls the warm spare from behind the seat, spins the waxed one off in 1-minute barehanded bursts because exposed skin out here freezes in minutes, primes the new one, doses both tanks with anti-gel and cranks while the block still holds its heat. 12 minutes down. The engine catches, then he takes Adigun slower than any summer rule requires, riding the margin instead of the clock because lost time can be made back and a runaway cannot. From here, the night explains itself. Every habit on this road has a wreck behind it. The engine idles all night because a frozen truck strands a load for weeks. The filter rides behind the seat because the cold kills fuel long before it kills men. The CB stays keyed to channel 19 because on a 1-lane ice shelf, drivers calling mileposts to each other are the only traffic control there is. 7:30 and Dead Horse offers no sunrise, just a gray glow on the southern horizon, because this deep into an Arctic winter, the sun does not clear the edge of the world at all. The truck rolls past rows of idling rigs wrapped in their own ice fog, exhaust frozen into a cloud that hangs over the yard like breath that never left. The driver drops the trailer, signs the paperwork, and leaves the engine running, a drone that stopped exactly once in 500 miles, for 12 minutes, on the driver's terms and nobody else's. We picture cold as something that attacks bodies, and skin does freeze fast out there. But the real fight ran through fuel lines and brake valves, through wax and frost, and a margin nobody can see from the ditch. For the man climbing down stiff, none of it was a story. Just a normal winter night on the one road that feeds the top of North America. There is no backup route. There never was one.